All right, my friends, today is August the 25th. It is Monday morning. Let's go ahead and get into the market outlook and plans for the week ahead. Let's go ahead and get into the macro outlook. So first things first, we're always term respecters. So all my plans were, resolve with price trading higher. As it stands, I think that, your main goal is to survive the remainder of Q3. Like I've said many times before, right? Seasonality is playing out in a very big way for us right now. If we had the same environment that we've had over the past few weeks, and this was November, we would have already traded a lot higher. But it is the summertime, so always take that into account. Yo guys, hit that like and subscribe button for me. Appreciate it. Next thing to point out is that September is right around the corner for us. And historically, September has been a pretty rough month for performance in crypto. So as I've said many times before over the past several months, there's a level of consensus around us trading higher in Q4. And to me, that means that you have to have some sort of event that shakes people up. That could be what we have right now. A lot of people are, going to be talking about how the cycle's over right now. But basically the idea is, chopping people up, and we create time capitulation. And then I think we're going to have price capitulation as we approach Q4, where you'll either, have a sell-off from higher prices or maybe a sell-off from lower prices, who knows, right? Some sort of sell-off, going into Q4 is what my expectation is. So you'll have the perfect combination of price and time capitulation to make everybody give up on the Q4 thesis, right? Keep in mind that it's not uncommon for the macro trend to become obvious and for everybody to know which direction we're going to go in the long run. But being effectively positioned and actually making money from the trend is totally different from just saying it's going to go up in Q4, right? So what I'm getting at is that even though we have a clear, a level of consensus around Q4 up only, I think that the market's just going to continue to make this difficult for people by chopping and reverting a lot before that, actual momentum really shows its face. So that's like, those are definitely the main macro talking points, right? We want to bet on up. You want to expect that price is not going to have momentum for the next probably month or so. If we get a big dip at the beginning of Q4, that's something you want to buy. And, the plans haven't changed. So I think that, my Q3, Q4 plans are still very much intact. We'll talk about levels, and then we'll look at a couple of the doodles really quickly. So levels, pretty straightforward. Right now, 110K is macro support. I don't think that I necessarily want to be bidding 110 because I think that we're either going to front run it or trade below it. But that is the most obvious, level on the screen right now is 110. Next, you're going to have 115 as resistance. It's essentially the previous range high. Those are your local levels, and then your main macro levels are going to be 90K is going to be your macro support, and 120K is going to be your macro resistance. So those are your main levels to pay attention to, most definitely. They're not really going to be levels that are going to create a whole bunch of trade setups for you because they're macro, right? You're going to get one trade setup at these levels at most, right? Let us go over to a little bit of medium time frame yap. So the main conversation on medium time frame was the idea of, are we going to, I'll let this load here in a second, are we going to successfully reclaim the range, or are we going to build up the low volume node? So as it stands, we're clearly set up to build up the low volume node. So the range that I expected was 114 to 115 as a resistance and like 111 as a support. So this is the range that we're probably going to be building between here. You want to pay very close attention to this range as it develops, because as we come in the direction of this macro support, I think that this is the buy the dip zone. So the range has not really developed very clearly yet, mostly just because the Friday move took us outside of that value and now we're back inside it. So the idea is you want to wait and let this range build out. And as it builds out and builds out a clear distribution, you want to bid into the lows, right? If you can bid into the lows of this distribution that we're going to make right now, that's probably going to be a good either medium time frame setup or potentially even your Q4 swing long setup. That is definitely where my frame of mind is at. Yeah, I mean, if we can get above 118, you want to be optimistic, but for right now on the medium time frame chart, 118 is going to be your most significant resistance. Very, very clear on the chart, right? You've got strong supports, around 108. Hopefully the recent price action that we have had can be a lesson for you guys as to why I preach so much patience around altcoin allocations. You have the small windows of Bitcoin having enormous momentum, trading up from 70 to 100 or from 70 to 120 or any of those kind of big, moves that we've had. Alts are going to fly, right? But the majority of Bitcoin's price action is sideways. And during those periods, where Bitcoin's shopping for weeks or months at a time, holding alts is just really negative EV. Unless you're holding the clear winners in the market, which 99% of coins are going to be the losers. So that is why I have really adopted the strategy over time where I just focus so much on the benchmark positioning. And then when that clear window of Bitcoin performance or momentum comes, I bet on alts, right? So that is what I'm going to do. That style of timing risk in that way helps me avoid so much drawdown, so much, stress and pain. And no, I don't maximize my returns the same way, because if I'm buying an altcoin a little bit later, I'm obviously not going to catch the full move. But for me, it's about minimizing drawdown and, just maximizing the expected value on all my trades. So as far as altcoins go, like I said earlier, I haven't made any significant changes. I think that Ethereum still looks really good. I think that Solana looks pretty interesting. Solana clearly is starting to get the front run bid for the Ponzi back that we've done on Bitcoin and ETH. I'm very confident that eventually Doge is going to have a huge moment in the sun. I'm not advocating for extra allocation to this yet. I'm planning on buying more Doge pretty much after the structure looks strong. I've already got good entries on this thing, so I'm kind of just chilling. But I will be adding to things. Okay, so let's get into the conversation around what does it look like when it's time to actually go all in on alts, right? And I say all in facetiously, I'm joking, right? Memes and layer ones. That's mostly where I'm at. I think that memes and layer ones are going to be your main plays. As far as layer ones go, I don't see any interest beyond Ethereum, Solana, and Hyperliquid. I don't want to touch any other layer ones unless it was a Dino coin, because that is another category I'm interested in. Next is going to be memes. I know that people hate memes nowadays, but you can roast me if I'm wrong on this. I still have the utmost confidence that whenever we enter a risk stage, the memes will be the top performing altcoins, from a basket standpoint. So I want to bet on memes. Right now I only hold Doge, but I'll probably be looking to things like, Fart, maybe SPX, maybe Pepe, maybe Bonk, and just large caps, right? That's my style. I'm going to target the large caps. Additionally, I think it's maybe worth saying that, I think the Dino coins are pretty good plays as well. Pretty much anything on this list is something that I think is maybe worth playing, right? So you've got your Dino coins, maybe an RWA, maybe a DeFi coin, a layer one, and two memes. So more or less where I'm at right now. There's a few other coins that maybe look interesting here or there. But ultimately, you want to determine what you're going to buy, much closer to when the buy comes, right? I don't know if this repositioning on alts is going to come next week or in, 6 weeks, right? So if it's in 6 weeks, I really need to be reevaluating what I want to buy, a lot closer to that date, just to be clear. But doing the prep work and having an idea of what you probably want to pay attention to, it doesn't hurt, And it also helps you stay focused and pay attention to what's good and what's bad, right? Being out of focus with what's relatively strong and weak, that can hurt you. So it's definitely beneficial to just keep tabs on what's actually good and what's bad. That's going to be it for altcoins. So we'll just close this off with a content talk. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed the content and educational rework that we've put forth. The server rework is pretty much completely done now. There's maybe a few key things I want to fix and clean up, polish here and there. If you guys have any feedback about how to make the server more efficient, by all means, always send it to any of us. We're all ears with that. All right, that's going to be it for me. Let me know if you have any questions. Cheers, guys.